Asian roles are complete. Some people think we're the race who has everything. Look at the stars, the young and the old. How many Asians can Hollywood hold? Looking around here, you think, hey, you've got everyone. We've got Constance Wu, Lucy Liu, John Cho, BD Wong, Jackie Chan, Sandra Oh. You want franchise icons? We've got George Takei. No mistake, they're all great, but we need more. We want to be where the white stars are. I want to see my race represented. Watch a movie with, what do you call it? Oh, Asians portraying Asian characters.
Yes.
Whitewashing us, Hollywood's gone too far. We are required for true depictions, towing the line with, what's that word again? Racism. Out on the stage, up on the screen, by being cast so we can be seen, prejudice-free. Wish we could be part of that world. What would I give if I could live stereotype-free? What would I say if someday I could play the lead? Betcha out east, we know at least we make up half the population. There are millions, really billions, ready to stand and ready to know where my Asians at.
Right here.
Acting, producing, creating content. Who's an actor who looks Asian? Not Marlon Brando, Mickey Rooney, Tilda Swinton, Tom Cruise, Scarlett Johansson. Not Emma Stone. When did our turn? Don't we all dream that in America we'd all be seen? No more invisibility. We have to be part of that world. My name is Lea Ciastko, and I was adopted from China and raised by white people in Indiana. And being from a small town in Indiana, I went the first decade of my life not seeing any Asian people. Not even on TV or in movies. So clearly there isn't enough Asian representation in Hollywood. But what there is too much of is extraordinary Asian representation in Hollywood. Like, think of all the Asian actors and actresses you can think of. They're all amazing. And there are just not enough roles written because it's so competitive and only the best and most talented people get the parts, which I know, yeah, that's show business and you're thinking that's true for everyone. It has nothing to do with race. To which I say 2 words. Nicolas Cage. Can you honestly say you like him in any movie? I mean, even if you like a Nicolas Cage movie, do you think he's good in it? And I don't mean like, oh, he's so bad, he's good. Like, do you look at him and think, that's a skilled actor right here. And I mean, I know he's won an Oscar, and I've actually seen the movie he won it for. It's a very good, very sad movie called Leaving Las Vegas. And the basic premise is Nicolas Cage's character is determined to drink himself to death in Vegas. And the whole time, he's drunk, belligerent, and slowly deteriorating both mentally and physically. Doesn't that just kind of sound like him in every role he's ever done? I mean, can you really call someone the best actor when he's doing what he always does? It just so happens to fit the part this time. I mean, if you keep giving an actor role after role after role after role, and he's white, he's gonna win an Oscar for it. That's science. So, I guess what I'm saying is there's no Asian Nicolas Cage. Asian Nicolas Cage doesn't become a movie star. Asian Nicolas Cage doesn't even get a callback. But that's what we need. Think of all the little Asian girls and boys out there who dream of performing, but who are just untalented. Don't they deserve a role model too? Don't they deserve to know that someday their mediocrity could lead to success? Don't they deserve someone they can look at and be like, I'm not good, but neither are they. And they're doing fine. Call me vain, but I would love nothing more than to be that mediocre role model for all of the untalented Asian children. This next song I call Colors of the Mansplain. We're incompetent people. Society's made you think this. That doesn't make it so. But still I cannot see how the foolish one is me. How can there be so much that you don't know? You don't know. Your say-so matters more than ours does. A woman's body's there for you to play, but women should be treated as your equals. We have lives, we have spirits, we have brains. We think the only way to be a real man is to put on masculinity for sure. You start believing what we tell you. You learn things you didn't know you didn't know. Have you ever heard a cat call walking down the street? Or felt unsafe to leave your house at all? Have you ever stopped to think that's what we go through every summer? It's so frightening that we go through this at all. Come live a life where you're a prude or slut-shamed. Experience a life of lower pay. Then live in constant worry. Politicians will someday sign your rights away. Don't tell us how to do our hair or makeup. Don't tell us how to act or what to wear. You don't know what it's like to fear rejecting a stranger who could kill you then and there. Ignorance go. Educate yourself so we'll never know. That's why feminism stands for equal rights for all. Whether you're man, woman, trans or cis, if much better than it the term feminism until I got into college. And I always believed men and women are equal, I just didn't have a word for it. But another term I learned was white feminism. And for those of you who don't know what that means, it's very different from actual feminists who just happen to be white. White feminists only think about the plight of white women and completely disregard the struggles women of color face. And white feminists really suck. Just honestly, they suck. And that got me thinking, if I were white, I would suck. Because I'm already super vain and entitled, but I think my race has kind of kept me from using that to its fullest potential. So it's held that entitlement at bay. I don't get what I inherently think I deserve. And I think if I were white, I would be a white feminist. And I would say really ignorant things like, being a woman is actually more difficult than being someone of color. And yeah, that's the most white feminist thing you could ever say, because you're ignoring billions of women of color. And it's not like women of color can separate those two things. Like, those together help make us who we are. We're not like, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I'm gonna fight for women. And then Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, I'm gonna fight for people of color. And then Sundays, I'll just not think about any of it. And that'll be my day off. It'll be my me day. And I know that's probably hard for white feminists to understand, because for a white feminist, every day is a me day because they only think about themselves. And it's crazy. I never thought that I would have to think about my race, because it's just not something I grew up talking about. Like I mentioned before, my parents are white and I was adopted and I grew up in Indiana, and they just never treated me like their Asian daughter. I'm just their daughter. And they raised me like they would any biological kid, and since they're white, they raised me white, which explains why I'm so vain and entitled. They were actually more concerned with making sure I knew that being adopted was nothing to be ashamed of. I should be proud of it, and if anyone were to make fun of me, I should just say, my parents got to choose me, yours got stuck with you. And I've never gotten to say that to someone. But I've never heard an adoption joke, but I've heard every Asian joke in the book, so my parents didn't really prepare me for the right thing. Like when you study for a test and then you take the test and realize nothing you studied was on it. If anything, they could have probably lessened the emphasis of how cool being adopted is, because now I'm pretentious. By show of applause, how many people here were not adopted? Yeah, you guys are all super boring and I'm better than you. But I can say that because some of my best friends weren't adopted. But I didn't grow up seeing another Asian person the first decade of my life, but I remember the first time seeing one and thinking, I kind of look like that. And it was Pat Morita as Mr. Miyagi on the Karate. And I watched that movie so many times because of him. And also I had a big crush on Ralph Macchio, scrawny white mama's boy. If that's not my type, I don't know what is. But, also fun fact, Nicolas Cage's co-star in Leaving Las Vegas is Elizabeth Shue, who is also Ralph Macchio's love interest in the first Karate Kid. That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about, I just thought it was fun. And now we've come full circle. But yeah, back to Pat Morita. I thought Mr. Miyagi could somehow teach me how to be Asian. And I mean, I get how racist that sounds now, but I didn't know that back then. And I didn't care that he was Japanese and I'm Chinese because I went to an Indiana public school, so I'm like, yeah, that's the same thing. But what the Karate Kid taught me about being Asian is Asian people are very calm, very wise, and very good at getting white people to do their chores for them. And how am I doing? Well, am I calm? Anyone who's seen me on Sundays watch the Bears know I'm not calm. I just believe that if I can yell loud enough at the screen, they'll suck less. So, no, I'm not calm. Am I wise? Well, I just admitted to thinking that by yelling at a TV, I could make the Bears' offensive line stronger. So, no, I'm not that wise. But as for the third one, whenever I go home to visit, my parents do my laundry and cook for me, so I nailed that one. 1 out of 3 isn't that bad. And I still kind of forget that I look Asian. Like, I was supposed to hang out with this guy, but he had to cancel because he had an early rehearsal, like a band rehearsal in the morning. And I'm like, oh, that's okay. I'm not gonna Yoko Ono your band. Except, you know, she was Asian. Wait. I'm Asian. So, when I was younger, I used to think that I was a white person who switched bodies with an Asian person. And the only reason I couldn't Freaky Friday my way back is because she was enjoying being white too much. But I mean, I don't blame her. Good for her. I hope she's having fun. But my last song is a parody of Reflection, and it expresses kind of how I view myself. Look at me, I will never pass for a perfect white or a perfect Asian. Can it be? I'm not meant to be this race. Now I see that if I were truly to be myself, I would be an ethnic disgrace. Complex issue with more nuances than I ever expected. And my parents were white, so they didn't know what they didn't know about race. And now that I'm older, it's up to me to figure out how I view myself versus how society sees me. So, when will my reflection show who thank you so much.